podcast that I had to do very little preparation for because the subject matter is close to, well, hard, I don't hard, somewhere in between there. Anyway, stellar resume if you look her up on LinkedIn. However, not even a 1 degree separation on this one. I am excited, so I'm going to skip the banter. And please join in welcoming my one and only sister, Indira Joshi.
Hi, Philip. How you doing?
Good. So walk me through, 1 minute you are doing, a double E or some kind of a bachelor's in electronics in Bombay, double E in Austin, then you're in Lumberjay, and here you are. So what are the key, like, give us 2 or 3 milestones on your career and tell us where you are now.
I'm going to walk you back a little further back.
Okay.
Let's just
Of
say,
course you would. I would expect nothing less, but yes. Go ahead, take this over. Note to self, the Indira Joshi podcast. Yes.
that has a nice ring to it, of course.
Right.
So let's do age 4 or 5, growing up with 2 elder brothers and a father, all of whom are, pretty hands-on, technically inclined, and then add to it a curious child. And so I think seminally our parents encouraged curiosity. So that's where it started. We built everything by hand. We had full access to our father's, work tools, his workshop. And so we got that part. And I remember you telling me, I hate to ascribe this to you in public like this, but why not? It's your podcast. So I remember
Thank you.
I must have been doing some summer, maybe I was 15, and you said something interesting. You said, one day you're going to be able to type something up and you're going to get grocery to your home. And I was like, what? I know you must have read it in, some of the many reading that you used to do. And I said, how? And you said, you got to take a programming class. I think that was the journey, and that little Spectrum computer that allowed us to code. So, match creativity, creating things, understanding how technology works, curiosity. I think that started me. Career-wise, I studied electronics in University of Mumbai and ECE, which is electronics and computer engineering in UT Austin. I launched a very, very exciting, fulfilling, and successful career starting at Intel, where learned the hands-on art of ASIC design in the, CPU group. And from there, went on to platform architecture for PC, went on to design, to head up Samsung's research on storage and storage servers. Did a stint on very, very high performance cross-point storage at Micron. And now I currently, head up a product that is test for storage. But I'm part of Advantest, which enable the testing of the entire semiconductor value chain.
How's life in the fast lane today? You've got, whole structure reporting to you. You've got to report to someone. Definitely, not only Silicon Valley, but California, and not only California, Northern California is a little more of forward facing in this respect. And how's life in the fast lane today, running a business unit?
Yeah. So I would ascribe it to being, starting and cutting my teeth, my kindergarten. I hate to see where Intel is right now, but my kindergarten and preschool was Intel. And Intel always, and probably still does, I don't know right now, empowered its engineers. And, when I was told as a 20-something-year-old engineer that you're designing a bit slice of the architecture, one of the leading, Pentium Pro at the time, the first out-of-order CPU. And I'm like, oh, me? And they're like, yeah, you can do it. So from then on, being given that trust and taking it to heart, and making sure I did a good job. It's very scary for leaders to trust, new employees. But Intel does this well. Not only does it do it well, it also creates community, and it encourages you to steal with pride. Don't reinvent the wheel. Go learn something from someone and build on it, and ask the dumbest questions. I have found things that have impacted whole programs, even as a young engineer, just by asking, myself, other engineers, right? So I think that has enabled me to trust the technology, to trust the data driven decision making, and trust your team, more importantly. And people are so important to success, so empower them. And I think multipliers, that's one of the books I kind of really, live by. It's a good book.
So early days, you rolled up your sleeves, whether it was your first job in your tea, just out of your Austin in Slumberjay, to following, I'll take credit for this one, following me here to the West Coast, working in Oregon, designing chips, right? You actually sat and
Mhm.
designed it, and I had to feign excitement for all the jewelry of all the Florida chips that we brought as
Oh,
cufflinks
right.
and ties and everything else, right? Thank you for those. That's pretty cool, actually. So you sat down and I don't know, at some very basic level,
Mhm.
programmed, layer upon layer
Yeah,
of these
literally.
chips
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
literally, right?
Mhm.
And saw the fabrication and went on to test successfully. We'll skip the Pentium flaw part of this conversation.
I actually was
Uh,
an engineer on the phone answering questions about that.
wow. Okay, good. And they're it thrown in there for excitement was flying on private jets and meeting all the who's in Silicon Valley to here where you're now running a team of the same, bright-eyed,
Mhm.
bushy-tailed people that you were not too long ago. So, with that grammatically flawed proposition, tell me how, you and your team are better for this.
Yeah, I think no matter which company culture you're in, so for example, Intel is a very curious culture, but it's also very process heavy. So, you have the safety of a framework of process in Intel. Samsung is a culture that wants to lead, right? But as very well known and published in many Harvard studies, they also catch the tail, right? Micron is a culture with a deep bench of technology. Um, it's a little, you have the free for all innovation, but it's a very innovative culture. And now Advantest is a it's very advanced technology, but it's also a very nurturing of a close family team culture. And so no matter what culture you're in, I feel that bringing the ability to allow your team to question, right, listen to the minority report, no voice is too small, too insipid. There's nothing like this, right? So it's the great equalizer of allowing the team to question, and not frivolously, but if there is data, if they're worrying, to seek out the people who are not speaking, not the loud people, right? No matter which culture you're in, having the ability to allow and foster curiosity and the ability to question in your team member, in going to work very well. And people do try. There are many aspects of running a business operation. So certainly there are those things. But really feel that the valley leaders grow from technologists. If you look at look at Intel, right? The guys that did process, they brought a certain, growth, and wars. They brought a certain leadership, which is needed for technology. It has to be rooted in technology and technology innovation. It really has to be rooted in that expertise, right? Um, you know, take even Apple, even though Jobs was on the interface and the how do you say, is the design of the product. He started with the end in mind, right? He often said customers don't know what they want, but I'm going to build value. And then he had, was there creating the technology that seamlessly supported all of. So I really think that starting with technology, building that value, really that is what the value is about.
Wow. Welcome back. So, babes, I'm sure it's true that the D'Souza's can only handle each other for like 20-minute segments at a time. And now this is Indira and Philip part two. So here goes. Okay. So so far great conversation. We've been talking about um, growing up together. We've been talking about IT. We've been talking about AI. We've talked a little bit about gender bias. And so, great conversation so far as we talk all things AI. We talk about bias and hallucinations. You've talked about the culture in your teams. You've talked about transitioning from team player to team leader. Um, and at the 20-minute mark in this conversation, let's go to something topical. Two words: Deepseek. What the heck is going on? Let's get a Silicon Valley, ringside seat. Tell us what it is, where it is, how did we get here? This is the American spending $100,000 on a pen that can write upside down versus the Russians giving everyone a pencil.
Right. So I think I know a lot of my friends have also been asking me to decode, what exactly is happening. I don't claim to be an AI expert. However, for those in the know, let's break it down to a few axes of what's going on. So people say, okay, but what about Nvidia? Is Nvidia just out of the game? The resounding answer is no, because the gold standard, if you will, of GPUs is still Nvidia. Okay, so what did DeepSeek do? DeepSeek released a model which they claimed was trained on older generation NVIDIA GPUs, still NVIDIA GPUs, just not the latest and greatest. So if we put aside the geopolitics and all the restrictions and tariffs, etc., and just look at the technology, what DeepSeek did, which is use perhaps existing know-how in AI to leapfrog their training on cost-effective infrastructure, would have happened regardless, and it's a good thing that it happened. So does it put American tech out of business? No, because now Nvidia and other models can also leapfrog using very similar or newer concepts of training. So think about it at a very high level as models training models, right? So if you have an AI model that is now going to serve as a judge, or it's going to decide whether another model is good. So those training weightages are how the models are trained for that particular purpose is different. So this is part of the continuing trend of technology, and nothing wrong with that. Okay, so does this mean that should we give weightage to Nvidia stock crashing and general panic? I myself do not, because you take a long term view, and in the long term view, when you have what I think just happened was broaden the TAM and the players for AI, which is an awesome thing, because now, I mean, we've seen videos of DeepSeek models being run on Raspberry Pi. Sure, it outputs maybe 2 to 3 tokens, or running on ARM processors, right? So now the players have entered, and I really believe for tech, competition is always awesome, right? So that's what's happened. My 2 cents on DeepSeek. And China and other countries, all players will put out models. So now, I said put aside the geopolitics for a minute and security, but truth be told, we cannot put that aside.
Correct.
That, yeah, right. So that is the reality. That is our reality. So now ask yourself, right? So do you want to use models not just from China? Let me now really level that playing field
Right.
anywhere.
Right.
Do you want to use models anywhere? Because, like we talked about, the currency is the currency moved from hardware, software, applications, data, insights, and control. We talked about this progression. So, how much control do you want to give away? First question. Second question, do you even know how much control you've already given away and you continue to give away? We continue to give away, right? So I
Sure.
think, yeah. So these are, whether it's a model from China or OpenAI, we have opened up what we are sharing with the world, and how we now choose to be controlled by technology. And I hope there are some guardrails that we
Right.
can limit what we share and limit what we control.
Okay. Well, thank you. So great job positioning the conversation. And this is a, in 7 days God made the world, and then we spent the rest of the time putting in all the boundaries and limits and immigration borders, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What you're saying, that from a technologist,
Mhm.
if it is set free, it's going to grow and thrive, and everyone's going to leapfrog
Yeah,
over
each
each other.
other.
I get it. This is, the concept of open source at its best. However, given the stupendous amount of investments that the United States is making, we obviously want our competitive edge. And you said something pretty deep. You're like, look, we know what we need to control, but can we control it? So let's assume we want, I mean, not let's assume, heck, do we want to control this, right? We want to be first. We want this to be our technology. We want the investments that we've made. This is, forgive the pun, a sibling rivalry at its best, right?
Mhm.
We've got billions of dollars invested, soon 500 billion more coming in. So is there a chance that we can have a competitive edge in this space that's tenable?
Okay, so let's say it then. Let's say what is unstated, and so let's state it, right? A technology grows in an open, transparent environment a lot better than it does um, without control, without transparency, without understanding, what data. So let's go there for a minute. I mean, it's
Okay,
not.
so this is the IBM versus Microsoft. Sorry,
No, no, absolutely not. No,
no,
no.
IBM. Sorry, IBM versus Apple launching, platforms, right? And back in the day.
Something like that. But what I'm talking about is, if you don't know what the data was, I mean, again, the data, or you don't know, what are the biases, you don't know the conditions under which that technology is being developed, it gives you pause. This is the first thing. Okay. Now, so people have taken Deepseek and taken it on prem, if you will. Now, of course, you need large amounts of data, but they have smaller models which you can run on a computer with decent storage, and they have run these, and they are performing well. So full credit to Chinese and our fellow engineers in China. Full credit there. But let's not discount how America has got its edge. America has welcomed all kinds of thought processes, technologists, nationalities, and we win because of that. Okay, I'm going to stay away from the topic of IP and IP stealing, right? Because
Sure.
again, none of it is founded, but it is the trend is there. We
Yeah.
cannot ignore it. So to answer the question definitively, first of all, I'll answer that in two ways, right? With the power of today's GPUs, namely NVIDIA, you can solve very, very complex problems. We still do not have fully autonomous driving. We're far away from it, right? That is still being perfected. just one of many problems that you have to solve that will require not just the current technology, I mean the generation of NVIDIA GPUs, but maybe five more generations to solve. So what has DeepSeek done by doing this on a smaller footprint? It has just opened the market broader for other players to play.
Sure. What you're saying is that we still hold
Yeah.
the high watermark,
Yeah,
right?
and I hope we continue to do that.
Right.
Now, we also have to, we cannot discount, stealing of IP or, so how do you look at this? Is it leapfrogging, leapfrogging and the technologist loves it? But is it, countries trying to, joust for
Yeah.
positional advantage?
If I may, just a selfish plug. You say IP stealing unfounded. I say highly founded.
Oh, good.
It's a sign of our times, and we've done. You know, we've seen this go through, whether it's on the mRNA vaccine or anywhere else, even in our own fields, right? So, okay, thank you.
No,
That's
no, I'm
good.
not. Let me correct that. I'm not saying IP stealing is is unfounded. I'm
Right.
saying deep seek. In this,
Oh,
we
I get
still
it.
have to learn a
Sure.
lot more as to what the deep seek situation is.
Right. And I think what you said is valuable in as much as, you know, it's operating at a lower threshold. Um, let's allay some fears and say that look, they're using older versions of NVIDIA GPUs that were throttled down or not available at the time. They've gone into OpenAI and taken as much data as possible, but they've also done some obfuscating in terms of anything Chinese, in terms of information, etc., 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 etc. And therein is the rub. But to be continued, right? The conversations.
One more,
Yes,
if I may add,
sure,
right?
sure.
Being the conscientious, I used to manage Intel power management architecture. So, in that vein, let me also put out that when you have a constraint environment, be it resource, infrastructure, dollars, necessity, the mother of invention, thrives. Okay, so that is one thought also that's been put out there. If DeepSeek, by whatever reasons, was constrained to older technology, and they have delivered.
Right.
Very much in the Indian tradition of jugaad, right? Where we are innovating with, and I feel like those models are also necessary to complete the entire picture of AI and its progression in our world.
Okay, good. Thank you. That does help. Before we move on to some fun stuff, just a few. I'd love to hear your thoughts on my side of the world. So let's talk AI, guardrails, and cybersecurity. So we get AI. AI is a help. Good guys are using AI as much as the bad guys are. Um, where do you see cybersecurity posture, because it's affecting everything from fintech to bio to operational technology everywhere, right? Any just quick, this is a little scary, but I'm going to get into your brain for a minute. What do you think, um, as a leading technologist, about cybersecurity? Is that in the forefront at all, or are you just focused on let me get bigger, better, faster?
If it's not in the forefront or not at least on par with what we're considering, then that is a scary world. I won't tell the security experts, right, commenting about it. But think about it. With AI, your deep fakes are real. Um, it is a different levels of education in AI across, billions of people who understand different things, who now have to discern something fake versus something real,
Right.
right? So take telemarketing scams and multiply it 10x. It is if we are not concerned about this, then there's something wrong with us. So that's on that level where people really, all of us need to educate ourselves about AI. Shout out to AI Club. It's an organization here in the Valley that is doing education K through 12, right? So children growing up are learning the basics about AI and how to view this, how to use it, how it is, quote unquote, using us.
Got
So yes, I feel security is definitely important. We call these in technology fail safes. Like we need the ability to pull the plug,
Correct.
while as opposed to not just going with trust and just going deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole, right? You really have to have that ability to pull the plug. And then what does that mean in health? What does that mean? What does that fail safe mean in banking? Or right now you have, you can put your fingerprints or you have your voice, but very soon those are going to be able to be hacked. So yeah, it's such a large field that yeah, we're just scratching the surface.
Okay, give me 60 seconds on quantum computing.
Quantum computing, from what I know and read, of course, super exciting. I think the main wall right now is the error detection, right? So and the scale at which we've all imagined this, uh, but the error detection is now coming to a place where you can actually practically apply it, and it will open up. I mean, GPU on steroids, right? So a
Right.
whole different world of what you can do,
Hmm.
and which is why I say, if you can do something with less infrastructure, it democratizes the technology, but that leading cutting edge always allows you to do more and more, and that's the quantum, cutting edge wave there.
Sure. I mean, this is going to be orders of magnitude change,
Mhm.
magnitude upon a magnitude as compared to the invention of the wheel, maybe, right? It's we're talking about some pretty deep technology that will obfuscate, oh, sorry, not obfuscate, it'll probably deem irrelevant our current encryption standards, uh, amongst various other things. How far, and I know next door is Intel with its first research available um, chips. How far are we from commercial production? Even if it's a band-aided version, in your mind.
I think on some level, not too far out, maybe 5-10 years, but something that you can reliably use, or even for not just broad, even for a reasonable market. We're a little bit ways out, but that doesn't mean we can't start to apply it to the very very pertinent problems that we haven't even imagined solutions for, right? And that's much closer, I think.
What are you excited about? Passion projects.
Oh boy, so many. And I haven't really decided, where to spend my time. But right now, I'm looking at just looking at all the World Economic Forum, right? So how do we build again technology that is sustainable? How do we
Okay,
use
let me
technology?
let me put this in perspective for people who are hearing us, because this is a bad question for the current audience. You've gone through knitting, painting, pottery, gardening, singing, drama classes, and that's in the last 10 minutes. So right now it's the membership to the World Economic Forum. But give me something a little deeper, right? We've got to recover the money investment on this podcast. Something that has been sustained um, in the last, let's say, 20 years. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm with you on. I mean, I'm doing the journey with the World Economic Forum together, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
In
no, I do.
education,
Yeah.
kids, yeah.
Yeah, and I am, like you say, interested in many things, but if you look at the theme that is consistent in 30 years of my career, it's always been how do you take that leading cutting edge problem and solve it. I think really that's where I always have migrated, be it leading edge CPUs, storage, test, protocols. I really feel like that is what calls my name. uh, Passion projects right now, really empowerment, not just of women in the workplace, but also, very much in line with what you're doing, is high schools
Right.
and trying to, bring girls into the fold of STEM. So it's certainly a passion
Yeah,
project.
I often tell the story that you volunteered to teach English to the girls in Bombay or Taniti, and one of the meetings, I mean, you designed the curriculum, you've tested it out, and we're actually doing, an in session, and it's about the seventh or eighth session, and one of these girls is missing, and she's 14, and the horror on your face when you heard that she's gone for a marriage proposal,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
And then her mother comes in crying,
Right.
and says,
Right.
please, please, please teach her, because I feel that's her ticket out of
Yep. Good
this
story.
condition. So,
Good
yeah.
story. Okay. A lot of these we totally disagree on, so this is a fair rider. But literally, this is rapid fire, 5 seconds. Okay. Your thoughts on religion?
Like
I don't think we disagree on this, but thoughts on religion. Why?
humanity. That's my word. That's my
Good.
religion.
Politics.
I'm independent.
Okay. Books. A book.
Oh, anything and everything.
Okay. One that really you liked, or you read, or
What did I read recently? Is
something
Trevor
that
Noah.
affected you.
Yeah, Trevor Noah's the recent book I've been reading. Lots of business books, multipliers, fiction books. But yeah, it's hard to rapid fire that. But
Yeah. Music.
let
That's why it's rapid fire.
music, everything from Pavarotti to uh, s- who's the latest Carpenter, right? And
Carpenter is not the latest, but we'll go with it.
what is her name? Good Lord, let's record this.
Okay.
Let's cut that out. What is the latest one? Um, Espresso. What's the one that sings Espresso? Can't remember. Cut this out,
No, it's
please.
okay. No, we go. Historical figures.
Historical favorites. Everything
Historical,
from
someone that basically, um, someone that again you go by, right? Someone that affected you.
Mandela. I would say Mandela, Gandhi.
Uh-huh.
More recently, um, even Gorbachev
Yeah,
at
oh,
some point, right?
how about lessons from grandma? This is a good one.
Lessons from grandma.
Uh-huh.
There's always a solution. Start with a nice full belly.
Mhm.
When kids are
Oh,
hungry, start,
oh,
yeah, start frying the onions, and people have hope. So give people hope. Hard work. Never, substitute hard work for shortcuts. And she was a tough cookie who worked right up to her dying day, literally.
and imagine this podcast in a time capsule somewhere, and our great grandkids are listening to it. Don't we just turn into our parents? Right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
we totally do. And by the way, I'll let you off the hook. Sabrina Carpenter is the one name you're looking for.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Relationships, human influences, career, family, core values. We've covered it all. Um, you know, Indira Joshi, and I feel it's kind of difficult on my tongue for various reasons. I just refer to you as babes. And thank you so much for
Welcome.
doing this. God, I survived. I need an I
Me
survived
too.
t-shirt. Yeah, you too. We'll make it 2 for 2. Ladies and gentlemen, that was amazing. And yes, it was one of the few podcasts in the 50 that I've done that actually took 2 whole sessions to narrow down. Thank you for joining
Thank you.
us
Bye.
on this episode of Secure IT as I continue the cybersecurity discussion with customers, vendors, end users, and employees, helping us gain from their insights and knowledge. Make sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, and please do DM me on LinkedIn or X with your questions, kudos, comments, or complaints, even. Thank you, and see you next month.